Hey guys, Scripted over here with another video, and I want to talk about this tweet I did, and because I didn't even realize how bad this quote was when I tweeted this. Some of the comments opened up my eyes to this is the worst. This is actually, the lightsaber toss was bad, the kill Ben thing was bad, or thinking about it, whatever. Both of those things are awful. Awful things. The thinking about killing Ben is absolutely horrible. But is this quote almost worse? Like, I didn't realize, like, Rian Johnson, he is the worst. I just finished making my video about the Gollum movie, and I'm thinking about Peter Jackson and just how much he cares, and how, the Gollum movie is, The Hunt for Gollum is probably going to be pretty good because he cares and he's going to do everything he can to make it honor Tolkien's work, like he did with Lord of the Rings. And I know The Hobbit has its issues, but you think about The Hobbit compared to what Disney did with the sequels. I mean, give me a break. But this is beyond insane. So obviously you can read it. At the height of their power, this is the scene with Luke when he's talking to Rey and they're up at the top of the mountain or whatever on Octu. And he says to her, at the height of their powers, the Jedi allowed Darth Sidious to rise, create the Empire, and wipe them out. It was a Jedi Master who was responsible for the training and creation of Darth Vader. And then I said, this makes a statement devoid of context, right? Because there's a lot of context there that he's not talking about Obi-Wan and everything going on. And yeah, I said the Jedi had no votes in the Senate and showed reluctance and unease about the situation, which they did, about giving Palpatine all this power and everything. They did, in fact, try to stop it. In the end, they did try to stop him. And Obi-Wan might have failed in his training of Anakin, but that doesn't mean he's responsible for what Anakin and Sidious's influence over him produced. Okay, so right then and there, that just means this quote is really sort of silly, at the very least. But you got to see the comments here. So Delete Yumi says, the fact that Luke threw his first master under the bus like that is such a B move. It's like his character developed after episode 6. Or, excuse me, it's like his character devolved after episode 6. Yeah, he does throw Obi-Wan under the bus, doesn't he? And then Jake the Snake, imagine denouncing your own first teacher like that. It's such a dumb, simplified version of what happened. It falls right into the wheelhouse of, well, the Jedi were corrupt and Anakin brought balance because there are 2 Jedi and 2 Sith, with its stupid statement that undercuts the complexity of the prequels. I like this guy's comment, George T. Cat. Height of their power? What about this exchange? Windu, I think it is time we inform the Senate that our ability to use the Force has diminished. Yoda, only the Dark Lords of the Sith know of our weakness. If informed the Senate is, multiply our adversaries' will. So they certainly weren't at the height of their power. So what is Luke talking about? Refuses to kill his father who murdered billions on Alderaan because he senses some good in him. Contemplates killing his nephew. Yeah, we already know that. Who taught him anything to make that statement? I doubt Yoda would have characterized it like that. Is that supposed to be an ironic quote by Luke? It sounds super ironic because he's saying all this, blaming the Jedi, yet he conveniently forgot Kylo Ren is his mistake. On both accounts, between Luke and Anakin, the Jedi broke their own code in not training kids for a certain age. Obi-Wan and Yoda practically gambled on placing their trust in training Luke to defeat Vader, and ultimately it paid off. This comes off as brazen for Luke to say. Yeah, like, it doesn't, why would Luke say this? It doesn't even make any sense. Problem is the PT shows Anakin failed Obi-Wan. I haven't seen the Clone Wars. How do you feel it influenced this quote? Well, because the Clone Wars does a good job of just showing the Jedi making more mistakes and being more involved with the war and less the peacemakers. Like, they're involved with the war in the prequels, but it's not even close to the extent that they are in the Clone Wars. At the height of their powers, they allowed Darth Sidious to rise, create the Empire, and that's why at the height of my power, I decided to hide on this island and allow Snoke to rise and create the First Order. Yeah, like, it's just ridiculous. Not the Clone Wars itself. This is what happens when Star Wars fans see their perspective on the Jedi over George's objective truth. Dave Filoni, the EU, and Disney canon have all shifted the blame on the Jedi. And these are all side continuities led by Star Wars fans. Well, they have done that. It's like everything's the Jedi's fault. Like, nobody talks about the 1,000 generations of peace. I was debating somebody the other day on Twitter when I was like, Mace Windu was perfectly justified to kill Palpatine in that moment. And he was. And they did try to stop him. They did do everything that they could, with the knowledge that they had. But ultimately, they don't have a voice on the Senate. They're not part of those discussions. They have a certain degree of influence, but they couldn't stop them from giving this guy all of this power. That was their decision. That was the Senate's decision. In the novels, which were conveniently thrown out in the trash by Kennedy, Luke realized it was the Jedi's attachment to being revered and the way of life provided by being tools of the government that led to all of it. Yes, and that I would agree with, but that was the system in place for like 1,000 generations, and Luke's sitting here like, it's hubris, and well, that was the system that was in place, and it worked for a really long time. It's not like it was just like garbage. Like, it worked for a really, really long time, and then it didn't. That happens. And yeah, Luke realized in the novels, well, he realized even just through his own experiences with his father that, attachments aren't a bad thing. That's why people hated him in the Book of Boba Fett when he forced Grogu to choose. When he sat Grogu down, I fully expected him to be like, I'm going to train you. If your dad comes for a visit, cool. But, we do want to commit to the training, so I'd like you to stay here. But hey, if he wants to come visit or whatever, I thought it would be kind of like a good sort of balance where it's like, yeah, you can still have a relationship with your dad, of course, but I don't really want you leaving here and stuff because we do need to focus. That's what I was expecting. And then I got, you have to choose between having a relationship with your father or training with the Jedi. And he literally reverted right back to, and this is Disney's whole thing. Like, they don't even care that Luke changed everything. It's just, no, we have to just push this idea that the Jedi were horrible and they're the reason for all the problems. And the Acolyte's likely going to do the same thing. And Obi-Wan did his best to mentor a stubborn, damaged pupil while also in the middle of a war. This is a really good response by Full Metal Moose. It's pretty sad Luke really bought into the Empire's propaganda. Yes, and fans have too. A lot of new fans that are into the sequels have bought into the Empire's propaganda, essentially. Luke had a lot of strengths, and subterfuge wasn't really one of them. The closest he gets is cunning is disguise. The Sith gaslit the Jedi. They had 1,000 years to prep it. Don't be too harsh on the poor boy for falling for some of it. No, he shouldn't be falling for any of it, because he should know that that's their propaganda. Why would he talk bad about Obi-Wan, who is, like, that doesn't make any sense. He wouldn't even be there if it wasn't for Obi-Wan. He'd still be trying to suck moisture out of sand. Like, no. So anyways, yeah, I didn't even think about how he's just, like, basically mocking Obi-Wan when I made this tweet. Yeah, and, like, they didn't allow Sidious to rise. Like, Sidious, here's the bottom line for me with a lot of this new stuff, this anti-Jedi crap. All you're doing by doing that is basically saying that it was inevitable. And so you're removing all the cool things attached to Sidious. You're diminishing him as a villain. If you're saying that the Jedi were corrupt and garbage, even though there was 1,000 generations of peace, and it was inevitable that this was going to happen, then Sidious was just a guy. Like, I don't understand how people don't see this. Like, every concept Disney's giving, whether it has to do with Han and Leia, Luke, Darth Vader, Obi-Wan, the Jedi, and Sidious and the Sith and everything else, all of it, all of the storylines, all of the central themes, and this is a central theme that, that it was inevitable that the Jedi were going to do this, diminish the characters. It makes the characters crappier. I like to think of it as there was 1,000 years of peace until this super manipulative, crazy, evil, awesome villain showed up and just dismantled everything using all the tools in the toolbox, right? And manipulating everybody. And that makes him the sickest character ever, like one of the best villains of all time. No, he's just okay, and the Jedi were probably going to go down this road anyway. That's kind of the new way of looking at it now, because the Jedi were crappy and bad. Like, it's just stupid. So anyways, I just wanted to show that to you guys. Very interesting comments. I appreciate all the support on social media in general, for my YouTube, for my Twitter. And so I just wanted to do that. Again, some cool insight. And let me know in the comment section what you think. Do you put this quote at the same level as the lightsaber toss or the thinking about killing Ben? I don't quite put it at the thinking about killing Ben stage, but definitely with the tossing of the lightsaber, that's kind of the reason he tossed the lightsaber, right? So let me know what you think in the comment section. It's pretty egregious, right? And as usual, thanks for watching. If you do like this content, please like and subscribe. Always helps the channel. And feel free to check out anything else on my channel. And as usual, you guys have a really good day.